Welcome to the Make and Design Podcast. I'm your host, Carina Gardner. On this podcast, we're unraveling the everyday joys and dilemmas of design, making, and business. For makers who want to be designers and for designers who are makers, this is your inside scoop to help you grow your business and bring more creativity to your life.
Hey guys, I am so excited today. We have a Design Suite member with us, Tiffani Hawkins, who is amazing. Joined the program
about April.
April. I was gonna say March, April, May, like that kind of that time period. So last April, and I'm so excited to have her on because we're gonna just talk a little bit about how she joined the program and what she's working on right now. Welcome, Tiffani.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Okay. Let's first say, tell us where you're from, kind of your background, and what kind of led you into our program.
Right. I am from Louisiana, and I currently work for the state, and I work in human resources. But my undergraduate degree was in graphic design. And so I always, had a passion in for design and things like that. But it was hard back then. That was back, 20 something years ago, to find a job in graphic design. It wasn't a super popular, avenue to take. And so I ended up going to grad school, and I didn't want to move. If I'd have moved, I probably could have found something, but I was getting married and didn't want to move. So ended up going to grad school for human resources and been working in it ever since. And I've been able to kind of use my, graphic design skills with some things, making flyers and, for advertising for jobs and that type of stuff, but still not as creative as I want it to be. And so, that's kind of my background. And I've always been a maker, just like crafting and making things. And when I saw you on Instagram and your advertisement about, makers who want to be designers, and I was like, oh, that's me.
That is totally you, Tiffani, by the way. Those of you who are listening on the podcast and on the YouTube channel, I'm just going to say, hop over to the YouTube channel and just look at all the fun stuff behind Tiffani. Well, I think one of the funnest things about Tiffani, when I first talked to her and we talked about having her come into the program, is that you are such a crafter. You have a really strong craft background, right?
Yeah. I started back as I got my Cricut maker, and that kind of threw me back into crafting heavily. I've always did a little bit here and there, but I really got pulled into card making and, doing vinyls, making T-shirts and things for my kids and family members. And the card making really stuck to me, as well as, like I said, using the Cricut for vinyl. And then I kind of got into junk journaling and painting. So I do a little bit of everything. And that was another thing about, your program that kind of caught me was, it wasn't just focusing on one area of design. You kind of teach all the different areas that you can make money in. So, so right now, I'm just kind of focusing on the things that I know, but open to learning all kind of different things.
Yeah. So that brings me to, I was thinking about your very first project you got paid for. Someone actually, and I remember you coming to me and saying, wait, so is this does this count? And I'm like, yeah, if someone pays you for a project, it totally counts. Will you talk a little bit about that project?
Yeah, I got into that was making a cake topper. I had someone that I was in a group with in another course, design course, asked me if I made cake toppers. I said, actually, I made one kind of practicing. And she was like, do you think you can make one for my daughter's party? And I was like, well, sure. And I said, well, I'll put it in my Etsy shop and you can make it a purchase. But I had a hard time considering that as a first sale, because it wasn't to me organic. But you were like, no, that's freelancing, basically.
That's basically freelance work, you guys. Someone calls you and says, will you make this for me? And you make it and they pay you for it. That is actually as old as time, way older than actually the things we do teach, which is teaching people how to make money via internet from total strangers. So I thought that was incredible that you got that first job, Tiffani. I was just like, that's freelance work, Tiffany. Get more of that. It's really awesome.
Yes, so I put it in my store as a option for people for a customized cake topper because I put her daughter's name on it. So
yeah, I thought that was really cool. And I really do like that you make so many of your projects. Like you'll cut things out and really test them to make sure that they work. And I just think that it's really, really cool. Like the stuff that you cut out and do. So one of the things we do, you guys, if you click on the link in this podcast episode or on YouTube, we are using Tiffany's affiliate link for Design Bootcamp. And the reason is because we want you to hear about her experience with Design Bootcamp. You know, sometimes people get really scared to join even a really inexpensive class like Design Bootcamp because they're like, I don't know, what am I going to get? What is it going to be like? And so, Tiffany, do you want to talk a little bit about it so that people understand whether it's really for them or not for them?
Yeah, when I saw Design Bootcamp, I was like, okay, this sounds interesting, and a lot of times you do the little, boot camps or, master classes like that. And you're like, okay, I don't know how much I'm gonna get out of it, but it sounds good. So after taking it for, the small fee that it is, I got a lot out of it. I think it kind of helped me like affirm my decision, of starting a design business. All the things you talked about in it, kind of pushed me to know, yeah, this is something I could do. This is for me. And you mentioned all the different ways you can make money, being a designer, as well as what it takes to be a successful designer. So I learned some new things. I was logging on like, okay, we'll see if it's really, something that I haven't heard already. Because I listened to a lot of podcasts and taken, many classes and stuff like that. But no, it was really helpful. And like I said, it kind of helped me decide that, yeah, this is something that I really want to pursue and try,
Yeah.
And it helps me want to join Design Suite because I really liked your personality, your experience, and, I'm always leery of the people who everything is always, sunshine and rainbows. It's going to be simple and easy. And I like that you were kind of honest with us that, it's going to take work.
Yeah, I almost sometimes think I scare people away in boot camp because I'll literally like lay the cards out and be like, this is how long it's going to take. This is how much you're going to have to do. And so I almost do that on purpose because many of you know that Design Suites are a full-fledged program. It's our year-long program, and we actually have multiple tiers in it. But you can't come in unless you've been to Design Boot Camp because I want people to get that realistic, like, guys, for reals, this is what it really takes to be a designer, because what we're trying to do, we're trying to squish in a year from what I used to do, which is teach people at a university level in 4 years. We're trying to do it in a single year. So it's a much more intense process. And so I love that Tiffany was like, I knew that was for me. Like, I really liked that because it's not for everybody, right? Tiffany, right. I mean, don't you think it's just not for everybody? And those that really want to work hard or are really excited about the process and are okay with it taking the amount of time it really should to build a design business, they seem really cool with it. And you just kind of trudge along, get to where you need to go. And how has it been? So I'd love to hear about your Design Suite experience so far.
It's been great so far. I've taken the other, like design type classes where they may focus on just like one area, of design. Where it's a few weeks, and it was great. You learn some things, I learned how to get back into Illustrator and do stuff like that, but it was missing some components, that I felt like I needed, like the design side, not just the design side, but like the business side. They teach you how to create something maybe, but okay, and now that I have these skills, how do I apply them, or what do I do with it? After the fact, how do I go about making money? So that's been a great thing about Design Suite. And also, I really love the community. Really, by nature, I'm an introvert, but being in human resources, it teaches you over the years, how to make yourself speak up and talk to people, because that's what you deal with all day long is people. So, Design Suite also with the community and everything, it's easy to talk to each other. Everybody's really nice and helpful. And that's always helpful, when you have people, even though people may be working in different areas of design as you still, may learn something else from that person, or you may see something that interests you. So that side's been great. And the other part that I really, really loved is the mentorship. I haven't seen any other, programs that offer, professional advice. People like you who have worked in the industry, you want to really get, real feedback that's helpful, not just somebody telling you, oh, that's nice, just because they don't want to tell you, well, you kind of could improve in this area, and this and that, because I'd rather some honest feedback. And I think that's part two of going to graphic design in undergrad. Your professors tell you, look,
professors tell you really how it is.
Right.
We recently changed our mentor workshop and the way we give feedback. And I have loved, Tiffani, because I've seen that you have submitted lots of stuff. I love that you submit stuff. And then we're able to give you timely feedback now. That's been a change that we made in the program recently that we love. Have you liked this change? I know that those of you who are listening outside the program are like, what is she talking about? But basically, we try to give feedback to all of our members in a pretty quick manner, and we do it via video. So
yeah, I do like it. I thought at first that I would kind of miss the old way. And miss the fact that I would see other people's things and other people's feedback as well, because you learn from, the feedback you give to other Design Suite members as well. But I found that, the fact that it's in, the program, you can just go and look it up, other people's feedback as well. Whenever you have time, you can just go and watch, other stuff that's been submitted by others and learn from that as well. So I do like it. And, if you don't have time and you just want to sit and watch your own, then you can do that at your leisure, because I do work full time. So this is a part-time thing for me.
Yep.
So I remember sitting, waiting for my turn.
And that's what we had heard. So we used to do it all live. And now it's like we just do a turnaround time of 72 hours on everybody's stuff. And I really love it, because I do think people are busy. Most of our women work. So those of you who are listening to this and you're like, I work, there's no way. Tiffani, it's hard, right? But you still make it work.
Yeah, I still make it work. I wouldn't advise of overdoing it on yourself, though. I was so excited in the beginning. I was taking all the courses and making everything and practicing. And, I think the adrenaline and the excitement of being involved kind of took over. And then after that kind of wore out, I was exhausted. I was staying up way too late and not getting enough rest. But so I at least try and put in an hour, if not longer. By the time, because I work, I get home, cook dinner, help the kids with homework, and I go work out 2 to 3 times a week, and I do all of that.
Tiffani, she lives a balanced life and she does this program. And I think she's got some really sage advice here, because we do see people will overdo it. And it's a race, you guys. It's the tortoise and the hare. And I promise, being the tortoise in this is actually a fantastic thing, because if you can just get started and going, it's a really beautiful thing, because you won't regret it. It just builds on everything you're doing, right?
Right. Yeah. And I just have to remind myself that, slow progress is better than none at all, and Absolutely. That it's not a rush thing. It's going to take time, to build my business, especially that I'm doing this part-time, so I just have to keep reminding myself that and not get discouraged, because you do see everybody else, has great designs and being successful, with the money making end of it. But I just have to remind myself that it takes time, as long as I stick with it, I'll get to where I need to be when I need to be there.
Exactly. Well, it's also a stage of life. You have kids at home still. I have kids at home still. It's really different than some of our women who are retired and are doing this 40 hours a week, it's a totally different deal. And I think it's really good for people to hear this, because I think at some point you do want to transition out. Maybe you don't, but a lot of our women want to transition out so they can do it full-time creative, or they want to do it in retirement, or they want to make that transition. But the best time to start is earlier on, because then you know what you're doing and you've built enough products over the long term so that you can see what you really could possibly make, and you can make those choices. You just have options, basically.
Yeah. Exactly. That was my, thought. I was like, well, I would love to make enough to replace my salary and do it full time. But if not, at least by the time my retirement comes, I will have it up and running. I won't be starting brand new.
Starting brand new. And that's the hardest part, I think, about a design career. Everybody thinks it can happen really, really quickly when it really doesn't. I mean, in design boot camp, I tell about my story. Almost everybody makes more than I do in Design Suite than I did the first year I did it. Not good. And I had a PhD at that point. So if someone with a PhD is not making very much money, at the end of the day, it's about understanding how to do sales and the business structure of things to get things going. So anyway, you guys, if you can't tell, I love having Tiffani in the program. She's just like this sweet, calming, like spirit in our program. And I love it when she gets on to, any of our, we use Marco Polo for our digital video groups. And she's just on there to chat or give advice or ask for help. Like, it's just a really wonderful thing. Tiffani, if people want to find out more about what you're doing, do you have someplace you'd love to send them, like an Instagram feed or a website?
Yeah, my business name is A Crafting Alley, and it's crafting with the K. And I'm on Instagram at A Crafting Alley, and my website is www.acraftingalleycrafts.com, and that's where I started with my little blog and card making and stuff like that. And eventually I hope to add more to it. And I'm also on Etsy. My Etsy store is A Crafting Alley SVG. So
we're going to give you all the links to those, you guys, in the show notes so that you can go check out what Tiffani is up to. We love having her in the program. And if you're someone that's like Tiffani who, is working and ready to make that transition or wanting to have a side hustle, we'd love to see you in a design boot camp. We'll give you a link to that. And then Tiffani gets the credit for that. So if you click on that link, we would love for you to come in and just check it out. It's only $27. And we do that on purpose, really low. And we give you some real information. It's not a $27 course where we don't tell you a lot of stuff. We tell you a lot of stuff in there. So
get a lot out of it.
Any last words to any designer or aspiring maker who wants to be a designer? Any words of wisdom or advice to them?
I would just say, go for it. Get started as soon as you can. I've invested a lot, in myself and in things I had to do to start this, but I think it's worth it if it's really your dream and what you aspire to be. The program is so helpful, and just everything that's involved in it, the education, the mentorship, the community, everything. So I would say if you were on the fence about it, don't be. It's worth your time and money and effort. So
I love it. Thank you so much, Tiffani. You guys check out all of her links on the show notes. I think you guys are going to love seeing what she's up to. She's just killing it. It's just been amazing. All right, guys, we'll see you soon. And we can't wait to see you in a design boot camp.
Hey, did you know that you can visit me at makeanddesign.com to learn more about this podcast and join my VIP group for weekly freebies? I can't wait to see you there.